If you're doing something, you'll have to give your 100%. When you start preparing for the civils, your entire horizon, it changes. Even if we are very, very dedicated, it does not guarantee that I would get into, because the final result is 0.01%. One mantra I would rather say is that you should know the subject thoroughly, but also knowing the reality that, okay, if it does not happen to you, does not mean that's like the end of my career. No. When you become a civil servant, that's not an end in itself. I think my journey begins only when I become civil servant. Interview is never about your knowledge. It's always about how, as person, how you are and how's your overall personalities.
I am your host Gaurav Garg, and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Miss Monali. She is a civil servant in Indian Audit and Account Service. She has done BTech in Computers and MA in Public Administration. Prior to this, she was working as Assistant Manager in BPCL and a Student Partner for Microsoft. She is currently working as Deputy Accountant General in the Audit Office of Principal Accountant General, Karnataka. She is responsible for audit of 24 departments of Karnataka state, including finance, GST, excise, education, labor, etc. She is also assisting students as mentor for Catalyst NGO. It's a pleasure to welcome Ms. Monali to our show, Amazing Mentor. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you very much for your time. So tell us about your childhood and any particular childhood memory that you would like to share on our show.
Childhood memories are always cherished by each and every one of us. Especially, I think for me, childhood is more important because those childhood friends with whom I had bond, I still continue to have this equal bond with them, and the kind of friendship which we had during that time continues to be the same.
So any particular memory from your childhood?
I don't have any specific memory as such, but yeah, there were instances when we used to bunk classes. I don't think that we've done during our college days or otherwise, so that remains special.
So what about your educational background?
I did my schooling from Satara, and then I did my college from Pune. And after that, I did my engineering and BTech in computers from Mumbai. After my engineering, I got campus placement in BPCL. So over there, I was working as assistant manager, as you've mentioned.
So what was your dream profession as a child? Who inspired you to choose particular profession?
As a child, I would say I didn't have an aspiration to be a civil servant, frankly speaking. I still remember an incident when we were supposed to write an essay and I was in 4th standard and I had written that I wanted to be a doctor. And then I had written a lot of details about it, that why I wanted to be a doctor and I wanted to serve society, and especially those, who are more vulnerable and deprived for not having the proper healthcare facilities available, etc. So I just remember that incident because at such a young age, when you write something of that and then you get recognized, that really means a lot. But as I grew up, I think my dreams kept on changing. I remember in 10th standard, it was like I wanted to be a teacher, and then like I see people and then you try to emulate their qualities and you aspire to be like them, and that how my journey has been always. So as and when I grew up, I realized that no, this is not something I think I should be. And when I started my engineering career, though I was good in engineering and I continued doing what I was doing so sincerely. So frankly speaking, even when I was finishing my engineering, it was so clear to me that I should write GRE, and I was into that phase wherein I should just get into a good company wherein I'll continue doing programming and I'll excel in the software development field. And that is another reason I joined job. But luckily, when I started working, there were friends of mine who were from Bihar and UP who were preparing for civils, and I got to know them and I started interacting with them, and then I got to know about this profession, wherein how the administration does impact, in the sense the kind of opportunities you have as an administrator, be it in the terms of policy making, etc., etc. And I started reading about all those subjects, and I realized maybe I have developed an interest. So frankly speaking, it was never a childhood dream. I just did what I was supposed to do at that point of time, and then luckily I had few friends and then I landed up over here. That's about it.
So what made you think, okay, now I should prepare for UPSC? After seeing your so many friends, okay, they are preparing for UPSC.
when I started preparing and when I started reading about history, geography, political science, economy, I started knowing the things which maybe during childhood, though I had studied, I had not seen it from that perspective. When you especially start reading newspapers or the current affairs from the perspective wherein, you realize that there is an impact, and that itself changed, I would say, my career priorities as well, wherein I was very, very career oriented, very focused and very sincere person, and I was excelling in academics. So that was very clear from the childhood that, if you're doing something, you'll have to give your 100%. So that was always there. And that is another reason when I did my engineering also, I did best at that time. When you start preparing for the civils, your entire horizon, it changes in the sense you go beyond just the certain aspects of, be it in terms of social life or otherwise also in terms of monetary life, etc., etc. So that was the key factor for me to, just to continue with what I was doing.
So who was your inspiration in your early childhood?
My father was my inspiration. From the childhood, we were very disciplined. My father was so disciplined that when he is going to come back from the office, we all used to sit together and study and finish our homework. I think that discipline which he brought in us, which has become an habit now, even without his presence at present with us, you tend to follow the same schedule, be as dedicated as you are supposed to, and not just giving 100% in the task, but otherwise also the way he has raised us from the hardships which he had to face to make sure that all of us reach to the level where we have reached at present, not having the same financial support as at present what we have it, and still continue to support each one of us, be it my younger brother who has also now gotten into service, he's also an IPS. So he wanted to make sure that we are at a stage wherein, we don't have to look back. We'll always have that clarity in our life wherein, and we'll not have to struggle. So that made him very special from the beginning. Yes.
How are you as a child, introvert or extrovert?
I'm not really sure, because for me, I think a lot of people say that you're an extrovert. I love talking. I am a social person. I do go out. I have lots of friends. But when it comes to my own time, I would always want to have time for myself. So when I want to ponder upon my own ideas or work on things which I have planned for myself. So though I am an extrovert person, I sometimes want to be an introvert and work on myself. And I do find that time for myself. So yes, yeah.
So what all challenges did you face while preparing for your UPSC examination?
I was fortunate because I could get in my second attempt. I was working at that point of time. I did not quit my job. So I continued working, and then I started preparing for the civils. And also here, this is an opportunity I would like to mention that all of us, when we start preparing for the civils, we want to be either into an IAS, IPS or those services. So whereas there are a lot of other central services, and even when they are clearing mains, that stage also not really aware about what is it that civil services do offer. We'll also have to analyze before starting preparing for the civils that, the kind of competition it has, and especially during these recent years when the number of candidates appearing have grown like exponentially higher, and the number of seats coming down, and when you have a lot of other career prospects. So I would just say that people should also, and especially millennials and all the fellow aspirants, should also understand the risk what they are taking at their career when the final clearing rate is like 0.1%. So you'll have to that conscious call of feel what level you want to prepare and when you want to stop preparing, because there is no guarantee that how talented you are or how dedicated you are that you would be able to get into. When 10 lakh people are appearing and only 700 seats are there, so that result is not so certain, and it's very, very unpredictable, and that somebody has to understand, also have to gradually take a conscious call. So that is one another thing I think is very important when people make choices about their career.
So where did you start your career journey from?
First, I was working with Bharat Petroleum. So there, our role was to handle the softwares in terms of manufacturing execution systems or the Behel and the lot of other internal refineries or other marketing depots softwares. And we had teams who would take care of those softwares along with our guidance. When I resigned from BPCL, I directly joined Indian Audit and Account Service. So we would be undergoing training for 2 years in our National Academy of Audit and Accounts, which is situated at Shimla for 2 years. And then we'll be posted as Deputy Accountant General at the respective states wherever we have given our choices. So I am at presently posted in Karnataka, and wherein I'm taking care of state audit charge, wherein I handle the state audit departments.
So what major differences did you feel in both the profiles?
I would say when we join civil services, we join it with a lot of aspirations and dreams, and also that desire inside us to change the entire system and bring an impact and give back to the society. But we'll also have to understand that being in government does not mean that you just have to come over here to change the system, or it's not always that every profession will give you that opportunity wherein you can help the downtrodden or the vulnerable sections. It's like it has to be treated like one another profession. It is not something wherein you are the only having the authority or the power to do something. So that is something I think there wherein a lot of people think that you join the services and you have a lot of power and authority. But I would rather say that rather than thinking from those per se, we'll have to it like just another profession, do our job diligently, and be it any profession, be it whether you are into revenue service or whether you are into an administration service or whether you are into policy making or otherwise into a police service. Our role over here is to deliver services in a more efficient way, create systems so robust that the discretionary powers which exist at present in whatever fashion are reduced to the extent that the systems functions irrespective of the roles which are or the positions which would be held by the respective individuals. So that is something is what is needed. And when we come, frankly speaking, we come with a lot of idealistic mindset that I'll change this or I'll create an impact and I'll bring this system, but it has its own constraints in terms of lack of manpower or lack of resources, lack of infrastructure in terms of computers and so on, which is not the case in the private sector. You have huge financial resources. You want to make a change in terms of policy or in terms of system or infrastructure. Lots of things fall in place. So that's one another added advantage in the private sector, and everybody has to work together at sync because it's a different structure. There it's always like perform or perish kind of structure, so which is a different in government sector. So that is one another aspect which I feel.
So what is your definition of success?
For myself, success is to be happy if I'm able to excel in what I'm doing and compete with myself, and rather than comparing with the fellow colleagues, be it those who are doing extremely well maybe abroad and or those who have their own startups. I think for every one of us who have taken any decision to be in any services, the motto have been different, the goals have been different, and that is another reason even our definition of success also differs individually. But I would say that in whatever fashion I can contribute for the betterment of people associated with me and bring the systems and improve the systems in small little way, that would be my contribution, and I would count that as my success.
So if you were able to get hold of time machine, which phase of your life would you like to roll back?
It would be definitely childhood. As I mentioned earlier, childhood was the best. When you never had to bother about things, when you could live your life freely, and I still cherish those memories. When you're so innocent and just living the way you are living, and I think that's the best time. Yes.
So what is your motto of life?
Just be compassionate, be calm, and listen to people, to those voices, and contribute in whatever way, whatever small little way we can, and just do my work. That's it.
So what are your current roles and responsibilities?
I'm working in the Office of Principal Accountant General, Karnataka, wherein I take care of the state government department's audit. So at present, I'm handling state GST audit, and also stamp duty and registration department, excise. Apart from that, also I'm taking care of primary, secondary, higher education department and skill employment department. So there are three types of the audit which we generally do, and the compliance audit, functional, financial audit, and the performance audit. So performance audit is something which is a recent terminology wherein we do comment upon the overall functioning of a particular government schemes or overall functioning of the particular department as well. Like for example, we had done the audit on only GST's transitional credit aspect. So we would be commenting upon how the transitional credits have been carried forward, whether there are dealers who have taken the excess than what was eligible, are there any ineligible dealers. So whenever we take up any subject matter or whenever we take up any department audit, we do comment on the overall functioning aspect in terms of not just outputs, but even we reach to the level of outcomes.
So what are do's and don'ts you would suggest for students who are preparing for UPSC examination?
First thing is to know what is it that you're getting into. It's very important to know your profession before you start your career, because, and especially in an era when you have so many startups coming like Byju's and an academy who have been talking so much about the civil services and otherwise, there's a lot of data available, but also many of the times we do see that a lot of these people are not giving the information about what is it that the different services do offer. Maybe people are aware only about the IAS, IPS, or to certain extent foreign service, what would be the role. But also, as I mentioned earlier, that out of 700, only top 200 can get into those services. So, and there is very high probability that you tend to get into all other services. So you should be also aware about what is it that that particular profession offers. This is what generally is going to make me happy or not. Because see, at the end of the day, you should know yourself very well. And if you are self-driven and if you have that clarity in your life in terms of what exactly you want, you can be equally dedicated. So that is something I would say that people to know, because I have also seen few of my friends, and even for that matter, even I wrote exam afterwards as well, that there's no guarantee that once you get into service again you can get into any other service or otherwise also. So there is a lot of uncertainty and unpredictability, and especially in this time when there are lots of other professions, be it starting your own venture, or exploring lots of other professions is also or could be a better option if you know that you're not getting in like 3 or 4 attempts. Because there have been instances when I have seen few of my friends have written like 5 or 6 attempts, because 6 is the maximum you write, and then after that what do you do, because you are a bright student coming from NIT, and then you've exhausted your attempts and you have a career gap. So these are the harsh realities which also have to be spoken, wherein people go into depression. So though it's a very lucrative career, it is also very, very uncertain careers. Everyone who is getting into it will have to also have a backup plan and make sure that you know that when to stop, and after a certain time we might just take a call and then start looking for other career options. Like even take example of entrepreneurship also. There's nothing wrong in, if at all we realize that that's not working, we can go back to something else also. So that I would say every aspirant should understand that even if you are very talented or even if we are very, very dedicated, it does not guarantee that I would get into, because the final result is 0.01%. So that uncertainty should be kept in mind, and accordingly we should start preparing. When we get into it, definitely we'll have to be very detailed, thorough about every aspect of subjects. And I think nowadays so much material is available on all of the platforms, be it even Telegram or YouTube, or otherwise also a lot of classes have come. So they can refer to many of these coaching institutes are also readily giving the information available. So I think any mantra or any syllabus you follow or coaching institute you follow, you have to be focused and revise things and know the subject matter very well. So if you read and then you don't remember, or you're not able to recollect or reproduce at that point of time, there's not going to be any point. So one mantra I would rather say is that you should know the subject thoroughly, in the sense that if you have a command on the subject, and that would come only with the revision, and that's the key. I would say that the limited sources revision is the key, but also knowing the reality that okay, if it does not happen to you, does not mean that that's like the end of my career. No, because I really believe that, and frankly speaking, I just believe that this is just the beginning of our career. When you become a civil servant, that's not an end in itself. That's not the very big achievement. What I do afterwards, whether I have been able to deliver to my role, and what I was supposed to do it, have I done it more effectively and efficiently, that's my role. So I think my journey begins only when I become civil servant. It's just like another profession, and take it like that way. And then, and also, if at all we get the failure, we'll also have to accept the failure, and there's nothing wrong. Even I myself have failed. We'll just have to accept that, and then and look for better career prospects. That's it.
So what advice would you like to give to people who have just become officers?
Yeah, just keep doing good work, and be focused, and contribute in, and deliver to your responsibilities, and give your 100%, and perform. That's what I would say. That's what our role is at the end of the day, that deliver.
When you appeared for your interview, any particular mistake or any particular funny question that you remember from your interview?
I'm not really sure. I didn't get any funny question, but I remember they were asking me about, because I come from a oil and natural gas industry, like at that time I used to work. So they were asking me a lot of questions from the oil and natural industry, in the sense that how the role of oil natural gas industry has been in the overall, and what do you think, is the petroleum industry is going to be as relevant as it is? And then I think at that point of time everybody would be conscious, and I could not understand that question, and it was the question from the chairman, so I requested ma'am to repeat it again. She repeated the question, but it was a very lengthy question, so I still could not comprehend, and then I ended up saying that, sorry ma'am, I am not in a position to answer. And I was a little disappointed when I came out of the interview, because I had at the back of my mind that maybe my interview is not good. But however, I had managed the other questions answers very well, because many of the questions were coming from my work profile, my hobbies and interests, and especially I had done a lot of work with respect to my NGO association or otherwise, so I could manage my interview. Interview is all about being you, being honest to yourself, and I think people sitting over there are veterans. They have 30-35 years experience, and they see so many people around themselves. So if you're just ourselves and are giving answers which are coming from within, I think we need not bother about anything else. Interview is never about your knowledge. It's always about how, as person, how you are, and how's your overall personality. So
you are also assisting students as mentor for Catalyst NGO. Tell us something about that.
Catalyst is an NGO who works only for women who come from vulnerable background, but are very bright students, are mostly doing the professional courses in terms of engineering, chartered accountancy, or medicine, or pharmacy. Those girls who come from underprivileged background, who don't have a financial support available at family, those women or the female students are sponsored by the Catalyst, not just in terms of financial matters, but even assisting them professionally, making sure that they are getting internship opportunities in their third year, or otherwise also arrange different types of classes in like if at all they want to go for the higher educations. So overall personality development classes, or how to work on the formal or informal communications, and lots more in terms of the overall personality development. So Catalyst, I think, as an organization which makes sure that women can actually fly, in the sense that they don't really have to bother about taking up the jobs immediately, even if those bright girls, if they want to go for the higher studies, otherwise also are sponsored by the Catalyst. That's the role of the Catalyst.
So now we will start a rapid round.
Yeah, sure.
Your favorite actor and actress?
My favorite actor in Bollywood would be Rajkumar Rao, or Ayushmann Khurrana, or Irfan Khan. And actress, it would be always Priyanka Chopra.
Your favorite color?
My favorite color is sky blue.
Favorite destination?
Greece.
Success in one line?
Be compassionate.
So if you were to choose one thing to achieve success between hard work, luck and smart work, what is that one thing you would choose?
Smart work.
Your dream house?
I have stayed in Taiwan cities for long, so I would say I want now peace, and I would love house surrounded by nature and peace and tranquility. So yeah,
So at last, one line that defines you.
a person who never gives up and compassionate to others.
So thank you very much for your time, and it was lovely doing conversation with you, and best of luck for your career ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah.